Aloha.
Aloha, this is Leon Siu, and I'm standing in front of the Supreme Court Supreme Court building. This is actually the original Hawaiian Kingdom government building. It's now the Supreme Court for the state of Hawaii, but they trace their background back to the laws of the Hawaiian Kingdom, and so what they really are enforcing is the holdover from the laws of the Hawaiian Kingdom. So the state of Hawaii is actually still maintaining the laws of the Hawaiian Kingdom. I was here today because President Hisashi Owada, who is the president of the ICJ, which is the International Court of Justice in The Hague, was here to give a presentation. And the International Court of Justice is one of two courts in The Hague. The first one is called the Permanent Court of Arbitration, and the other one called the International Court of Justice. The Permanent Court of Arbitration was where Keanu Sai was at in the year 1999, gave their presentation, and did not quite get the satisfaction of a ruling, but was able to establish a case there anyway. And that was the Permanent Court of Arbitration. The other part of the court, which is the International Court of Justice, is actually the one that can enforce and actually has more binding type of decisions that they make. So the International Court of Justice is where most of the world goes for their international disputes. So this is the president. He's a Japanese ancestry, and in 2009, last year, he became the president of the International Court of Justice. And what this does is it puts him in the position of ruling over cases that are international cases that are going on all the time. So we were able to sit in on it. He was talking about various new things that are happening with the International Court of Justice, things that are, they didn't actually anticipate many years ago when it was founded. And there are differences going on now, and he talked about, for instance, human rights violations and things like that, which are international violations that the International Court of Justice then pursues and rules on. But of course there are also the border disputes and all kinds of other things that end up in the International Court of Justice. What was kind of interesting was that he was telling us that their particular purview is, of course, between nations, that is, treaties and ruling on cases that pop up between nations, between states, they're called. And he quoted a couple of interesting cases. One was Mexicans who had been arrested in the United States and tried on various types of crimes that they had committed, but had not been notified of their rights at the beginning, the rights under the Vienna Convention, 1963. And under the Vienna Convention, an international person of another nation being tried by the host nation has certain righs. For instance, he has the right to counsel. He can contact the consul from his nation, consular official from his nation, and get some support from them. And the Vienna Convention actually helps to protect that person. But none of these people had been given that kind of consideration, which then they bundled up the cases together, and they sued the United States for violations of the Vienna Convention. And this ended up not only in the U.S. Supreme Court, but eventually in the International Court of Justice. And basically the U.S. decided it had to comply to the outcome of the International Court of Justice, which said that their rights were violated, which meant that either they had to be released or they had to be retried all over again, this time with the proper procedures being followed. Anyway, the reason that this is interesting to us is because Hawaii, having been taken over by the United States in 1893, and then annexed in 1897 or 98, all of these types of things are now questions that we can take to the International Court of Justice. So I asked, Henry Noah was here, and he asked a few questions as well, but I asked the President Owada about Hawaii's, basic some advice about where Hawaii can go. And he said basically that our situation is a political one. It would require a political solution, not necessarily a legal solution. However, there are certain things that we can take for injuries, for instance, to something like the International Court of Justice, or say, for instance, like Henry Noah, when they were tried and convicted for their trespassing on Kaho'olawe, which is now in front of the in front of the Supreme Court of the state of Hawaii, and then will probably be appealed on up to the U.S. Supreme Court. So if we don't get any satisfaction from the U.S. Supreme Court, this is one of the types of cases we can take to the International Court of Justice for denial of our rights as Hawaiian nationals in our own country. So it would be a very interesting case. So we're trying to inform Mr. Owada about who we are and about where we're going with this, and that he might be seeing us sometime in the near future at the International Court of Justice. Mahalo.
Mahalo. If anybody would like to know any more of your manalo, is there any way they can get in touch with you?
Call me up. My number is 488-4669, or email me at leon@hits.net.